That's your boy Gooch.
That is the homie Keys.
And this is the RogueHead Huddle with Gooch and Keys presented by RGR Football. Gooch?
We appreciate anybody that's watching us today. I hope you're having a great Friday. If you think about it, go back and let's join the RGR. Get in the Discord with me and Keys and the Mod Father. Check out the Pigs Pool. Any previous huddles is on there, along with the live streams. And take this walk with us, guys. Divisional round. Let's get it.
All right, let's go ahead and let's start with our wild card weekend. Thoughts on the Steelers game, Gooch?
I think it took a scoop and score fumble by TJ Watt to wake the sleeping Giants. And after that, it was off to the races. It was good to see Andy being aggressive. Aside from some business decision tackles on defense, it looked pretty good. Keys?
Right. Yeah, I think that was kind of the most frustrating thing is it did seem to take that touchdown for the offense to wake up. I know I think it was Ryan. It was Ryan in the Chief in the North lodge, or maybe it was Seth. I think it was Ryan that was talking about that the Chiefs offense wasn't expecting the Steelers to come out and play them the way that they did, and so that's what it was, is that it took a while for adjustments. But if that's the case, it's a huge coincidence because it really did take until after that play to happen and the Steelers went up. Like, that's really when the Chiefs offense flipped the switch, which really makes it seem like, it was more about that than it was play calling, or than it was how being surprised at how the Steelers defense was playing them, or whatever the case was. And so, yeah, I don't know if I buy that. And so, that was kind of frustrating. Clearly once they woke up, what we saw was pretty great. We saw that McKinnon had the same juice that he had last time. We saw how this offense looks with the threat of his speed in it. We continued to see Prangle be a somewhat important part of the offense, as well as Hardman getting some good looks, them finding a way to really utilize him to the best of his ability. I was impressed uh, Orlando, with Orlando not getting any false starts, because he's been committing false starts for at least the last few games that we've went back and watched the film for. And this crew is one who likes to call false starts. Last time we had this crew, they called a false start on Darrell Williams. They called a false start on Travis. And those are unusual false starts. Usually it's the offensive line. Sometimes it could be the quarterback. Not very often that it's a receiver or a running back. And so, it's kind of concerned at what we would see with the combination of Orlando starting early a lot and this crew liking to call that. And so I was impressed from what I saw and what I remember. Orlando did a much better job of not being as so obviously early that he had been in the past. And Watt wasn't really a terror to Mahomes or the offensive line, so that was a positive. I think defensively, I'm going nuts here with some of the things that Spag's doing. So yeah, I'm going to harp on the fact that Willie only played 25% of the snaps, and but kudos to Tershawn Wharton, who got graded as an interior defensive lineman by PFF as having the second best interior defensive line performance of Wild Card Weekend, with number one going to Aaron Donald, and number three is also another Rams players. So Wharton was sandwiched in between the two of those. So kudos to him for that. Take PFF grades however you will, but clearly Donald's the best, and so we want to see Wharton continue to throw out performances like that. And yeah, I don't know that I have much to complain about other than 25% of the snaps for Willie is not enough, and anything above 5% for Sorensen and Neiman is way too much. And I understand that Willie doesn't have a green dot on his helmet, and so that when they're in a dime situation, he comes off the field. I hope that's something that changes for next year. They need to have him progress to the point that he can handle that along with Nick. But I would also argue that Spags has to figure out a way to configure his defense that Willie and Nick can be on the field for all 3 downs. Figure out a way to configure the defense so that you can stop the pass and you can stop the run, and you can do it with both of these guys on the field, because otherwise you let the opposing offense dictate to you what you're going to do, and that you have to take your better players off the field. And if you're taking your better players off the field and you're letting the opposing offense manipulate you in that way, it's a recipe for failure.
I'm with you. I also like the fact that they gave Armani Watts some snaps. So maybe that'll, get Armani back on the field a little bit. But
Right.
I'm right there with you. I couldn't agree more with everything you said.
He certainly didn't embarrass himself that I remember. And, you brought up another point. Thornhill, I think, got like 99% of the snaps. And, it's kind of one of those things where you don't want to see Willie get 25% of the snaps, but you also don't want to see Thornhill get 99% of the snaps. Like, guys coming off of injuries, and I can understand, kind of doing some load management. I don't think that was the case with Willie, but I can understand that, doing some load management. And I think some of that should have happened with Thornhill. He didn't need to be out there every single snap of this game. There was a certain point where the backups come in, and that's where you see Watts and Sorensen and some of those guys, even if it is the last 5 minutes of the game, whatever. Like Thornhill shouldn't be playing that much in of meaningless action.
Absolutely right.
Do you have anything else you want to add on this game? We can just quickly move on.
No, we can move on. This one was a good one. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about next week.
Right. And see, there's some people in the comments that think that we just find anything to complain about. Well, the reality is that, we're balanced. So we give the good and we give the bad. We don't just blow rainbow smoke up your keister. We give you the full truth. And if you don't like it, find a different program on RGR to watch. All right. I know my partner agrees with that. We're gonna do a little huddle armchair GM. We're gonna break this up, and so this time we're gonna talk about free agency. I think we can cut out some stuff where I know we're in agreement on, especially with our own free agents. Things like cut Clark, cut Hitchens. I think we're in agreement with that. We can get those off the board. I think we might even be in agreement with try to re-sign Tyron to a fair and common sense contract. Otherwise, let him walk. Probably even wanting to extend Hill. And then from there, I want to see us re-sign a number of players. I do want to see us re-sign Blake Bell. I want to see us re-sign Ingram. I'm kind of on the fence right now about Reed, but right now I'm leaning towards re-signing him. I know we'll disagree a little bit in the secondary, but as long as this contracts that make sense, and I'm sure there's probably going to be teams that break the bank so it won't make sense. But I'm okay with re-signing all of our free agent cornerbacks. That doesn't mean that I want them all to still be on the team by the time training or by the time preseason is done with. Hopefully we bring in more competition in the draft and free agency. But right now I have no problem bringing back all of our cornerbacks that are on the team. So I believe the free agents, that's basically everyone but Willie and maybe Baker. I think Willie for sure. I'm pretty sure I know Ward is a free agent. Hughes is a free agent. I don't think Fenton is. And so I would bring those guys back. I would not re-sign Sorensen. I would not re-sign Neiman. On offense, I would re-sign Pringle. I would not re-sign Robinson. And I already said Bell. I'm not 100% sold on Burton. I know that one might be kind of unpopular. He's done some good things. I've also seen him miss more blocks than I think that he should have so far. And I'm kind of on the fence about Darryl too. Our running back room right now. I want to say that bring back Darryl. Otherwise, I like Gore, but I'm fine with us having, well, definitely re-signing McKinnon unless we can get a better and healthier and younger speed back for around the same amount of money. Easier said than done. And then I'll get into actual free agent signings here in a minute, but I want to give you a chance to speak on any of the players that I've spoken on, and whatever else you want to add to that.
Well, I mean, obviously we're all in agreement on Frank Hitchens, Tyron. I would try to re-sign Melvin. He said that he has a desire to be in Kansas City. But desire and money are two different things. So we'll see how much desire he has to be here. I would probably try to re-sign Hill. I didn't realize that Tyreek is younger than Nuke. And I mean, he's still a young kid. He's 26, 27. I mean, DeAndre's 29. Stephon Diggs is 29. So I would probably re-sign him because he's still going to have some speed to burn. I would let go of Sorensen, Neiman. Ward is going to get priced out. Like, I could see Ward come back, but Ward's going to be priced out. Somebody, excuse me, is going to give him number one CB money, and he's not number one. But I agree with everything else. I think Blake Bell's kind of touch for me because we've got some stud tight ends on the practice squad. Well, we did, but then the season's over. But I think they're going to resign some of them. I mean, just I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd like to see Ward back, but I do think that he's going to get priced out. I think he's going to end up being a comp pick for us. You know, it might even be the same team that did this to us last time, which is the Steelers that we just played. But yeah, I do think there are teams that are loaded with money this next offseason. The Chiefs are not one of them. Unfortunately, the rest of our division is going to have at least 45, 50 million plus to work with. And so, and there are plenty of other teams, especially contenders like the Colts and some of these teams that have a good deal of cap space. And so, Chiefs are going to take a hit there. Fortunately, I'm pretty sure the Bucks are going to take a bigger hit as well. But yeah, I'm with you there. And so, you know, I'm in favor of assembling a new running back room. That's nothing against McKinnon. Like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing McKinnon back as our speed guy. I would still explore other options. You know, like I have nothing against any of these guys. I'm a big Gore fan. You know, Darrell has shown he's a good receiving back. He's also a good, you know, pass blocker, and he's a good power back. And so, I'm not like dead set against these guys. But if I were the GM, I'm calling up the first day of free agency. I'm calling up Cordarrelle Patterson, and I'm trying to get him into Kansas City. He's a quick back. He's a former receiver, and he's got a bit of power to him too. I've seen him carry guys. Like, to me, he is a very versatile weapon. Like, he's 6'2", 220 pounds, and he ran like a 4.4 something 40, like a 4.42 40. Now, obviously, he's older now than when he ran that 4.42, but he still got really good or pretty good speed, at least relative to most of the guys that we have in our running back room. He's also got a little power to him. He's a big boy, and he started out as a receiver, so you know he has great hands. You know he's a decent route runner, and that's the kind of versatile back that, you know, I think would be just a nice addition to our offense. Like, imagine Pat having a 6'2" running back who can catch to throw passes to. I mean, and he can make guys miss too. He can make guys miss in the open field. So, you know, he's my top priority as a running back. There are a lot of decent running backs that are going to be free agents, or at least scheduled to be free agents this year as well. But he would be at the top. You know, there are guys that I might take a shot on, especially, you know, some cheaper guys out there, or guys who might be cheaper. Maybe Mostert. Mostert's supposed to be a free agent. You know, he might be questionable in the same way that McKinnon was questionable, but you know, we still took a chance on McKinnon and signed him. You know, I would be, if you got a guy like Patterson, it really frees up what you would have to do in the running back room, because he gives you a guy that can legitimately do each one of those things, so you don't have to go out like this year's team. McKinnon, you know, now that he's fully healthy and everything, he's our speed guy. And Gore's kind of the in-between guy, and Darrell's the power guy, but also the receiving guy. And CEH is kind of just the, you know, whatever guy. But
Odd man out.
right. Well, he would be if I was the GM, because my next move then would be to try to trade him and get what I could for him. And that, you know, I've said it before, and it's nothing against CEH. One, I don't like running back in the first round. Two, he wasn't the running back that I wanted. And, you know, I wish I could say that Taylor was the running back I wanted, but Travis, I can never say his last name right because I know it's like French or something.
Etienne.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's who I wanted. He runs like a 4.3 40, and I wanted that speed on my team, and so that's who I was wanting. But then he came back, a year, and so he wasn't even available to us in that draft. So um, once I saw that he was coming back, that made me sad, and especially now that we went ahead and drafted a running back, but that's neither here nor there. So, um, you know, I'm okay again, McKinnon, or maybe Mostert, maybe someone in the draft, um, or another one of the other speed guys in free agency. Jakeem Grant, who I believe started out as a running back, but's been playing receiver, I think, for the Bears now. He was with the Dolphins before. He's a fast guy as well, and he's kind of, since he's played both positions now, he would kind of be an interesting piece to throw in the running back slash receiving room roster as well. Um, but yeah, I would be okay with Daryl coming back in this scenario. Um, I would be okay with us drafting a running back, fourth, fifth, or sixth or seventh round. A guy that I'm really intrigued in getting in a trade is a guy who was just a rookie this year. He didn't get a whole lot of playing time, but Kane Nawangu, who is a running back for the Vikings, backup behind, I believe, Dalvin Cook's backup. He didn't really get much time on the field, but if you get a chance, go back and watch some of his college highlights. He's a guy that I liked in this draft this year, and was kind of sad that we didn't take a shot on him later. But I like the way that he runs, and so to me, give me Cordarrelle Patterson and give me Kane Nawangu, and I can't say Travis's last name, but I can say Nawangu. Uh, but you give me those two guys, and I really like what they can do in the running back room. So, Gooch, what about you? What do you want to see us do in the running back room?
Honestly, you know what? Like, a lot of those guys will be, like, I think Cordarrelle's going to be out of our price range. So I would be okay with bringing back McKinnon if he could stay healthy. I'd even be okay with Daryl. You know what, though? Bring back Damien. Damien will come back. He loves the Chiefs. Give me Damien back. He knows the offense. I mean, CEH, it's the CEH, and I know people are going to trash me in the comments, and I'm looking for the negative, but CEH is like ethanol. It was a dream and a dumb one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's let's move on from the mistake. I realize we've got fifth year option and all that. You've seen what you're going to see. He's the Sammy Watkins of running backs on this team. And I love Sammy, but I just don't think it fits. And if we're just doing the running back room, I could see Mostert. I would still bring back McKinnon though. Like healthy, obviously he still has burst. And with the experience, he can see the field. Like this game, and I hate to go back a segment, but this game right here really showed you what this team could look like if Pat trusted Clyde the way he trusts even McKinnon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, yeah. I would love Cordarrelle. I just think it would be out of our price range. I would make a run at Mostert, especially if we go far. AFC Championship game, Super Bowl. I mean, I think all of a sudden Mahomes becomes, the beacon that everybody starts drawing to because there's an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. And so people start taking sweetheart deals. But yeah, McKinnon, Mostert, I keep Daryl, Gore, but you can only have like three, right? So I'd trade CEH. You're only going to get a third rounder for him, but I'd trade him anyway. I'd like to see what Gore would do with a bunch of carries. And maybe promote Daryl to coach and then bring back McKinnon to go after Mostert. What do you think?
You say Daryl as coach? Like player coach?
Yeah, why not? Daryl is coach? Why not? Come on, man. Like, look.
Does he know? I don't know that he knows enough about the running back position to be the coach.
Well, assistant's running backs coach. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe he gets the mysterious IR bug
Yeah,
or whatever, and then you put somebody else on IR and bring them back for the playoffs. I mean, because
right.
Gore pretty much handles the. Daryl's a great catcher, but Gore is that power guy, and you don't need two of those. You know what I'm saying? So you get a Gore and a Mostert, Gore and a McKinnon. You know what I'm saying? Burton, keep Burton. Andy likes his fullbacks. He's going to always love his fullbacks. Everybody knows Sherman could have been off this team years ago, playing one snap every 4 games, but Andy likes his running back. So I'd have Burton, Gore, McKinnon, unless you can find somebody younger in the draft, and then maybe Mostert. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I'm going to say is Patterson only made $3 million this year on his 1 year contract with the Falcons, and so I believe he's going to be 30 this next season. And running backs aren't getting paid like they used to get paid anyway. So I would think he's getting a raise. I'm there with you, but I wouldn't think that it would be more than what we were paying Damian, which was like what, around 5 million, 5.25 or something. And so
Is that what we're paying him? I was sure he signed for 3 or less.
for Damian, I can go back and look at his contract, but that's what I was thinking. It was something around 5, but yeah, I could definitely be wrong on that. Um, but anyway, I wouldn't think that he would get more than 5, even 6 million, in this climate, just as like a 30-year-old running back, just the way that they're not valued anymore. Um, that that he would get all that much. Um, okay, that's what it was. His last contract with the Chiefs was a 2 year 5 million. So yeah, I was thinking the 5 million, but that was for the 2 years for Damian. But yeah, Corderell he got like a $1.7 million signing bonus, but um, his salary was only like 1.3, so it ended up 3 million. But again, I don't think that he's going to get all that much money. Maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 million at most. Um, but anyway, I mean that's just my dream scenario. You take Patterson and you trade for Nawangu, who was a fourth round pick of the Vikings. He ran a 4.32, and he actually did a little kick returning for the Vikings this year. He ran 2 back. He ran a 98-yarder and a 99-yarder back for touchdowns against the Ravens and 49ers. So, I know Tobe would love to have that on special teams. I know Chiefs fans would love to have McColl off of kick return, not have to see Pringle, McColl, and Hughes back there juggling around on kick return. And I mean, that speed and then the ability to play special teams. I mean, he was a fourth round pick. If you think we couldn't get any more for CH than a third round pick, I would kind of be, I would hate to do the, lose that value, but you know, I would be interested in that trade if it could happen because I really think that this kid, if he has a chance, is going to be a pretty good running back, and the Vikings might not even let go of him anyway. But I mean, you never know. And if EB becomes the next coach there, then he might want to bring some of his Chiefs guys to be on that team anyway. But we talked about the running back room. I don't know that we need to talk a lot about the tight end room. Blake Bell's a free agent. Of course, Gray's still under contract. And Jody, we hope that he's healthy and we expect him back. I initially this season didn't want Bell back, but that was more because I wanted to make sure that I really was pushing for Jody and Gore and Fountain to make this team. And so, I was trying to trim some of the guys off of the roster like Daryl and Blake. And I was clearly wrong about both of them. I really like what they've added to our offense this year. And so I would go ahead and keep Bell on the offense for next season. How about you?
I'm gonna have to come back to that. Because I know you like Bell, and I just don't. I haven't been a big fan. Kelsey, Forts, Jody, Gray. That would be my tight end room. No Bell. I've run 3 tight ends, and I mean Allegretti with that touchdown catch. Maybe he's tight end 4. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
I feel like about 6 or 7 months or so ago, we were kind of on the opposite sides of this one, and you were arguing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think you were arguing for Bell, and I was arguing that we didn't need Bell because if we wanted a blocking tight end, we could just add a 6th offensive lineman out there. And that, as you just pointed out, the difference between, a blocking tight end who sometimes catches and an offensive lineman who's a much better blocker who could possibly catch. But in all seriousness, though, I do think that Bell is good enough that we can go out and have we can have 4 tight end sets. Like I can't think of that many tight ends out there in free agency or maybe even the draft to where it'd be like, let's replace him with that guy. So on the receiving end, we've talked about, we agree, extension for Tyreek. We agree we want D-Rob to be gone, I believe. And I think we also agree that we want to see Pringle get re-signed.
You're absolutely right. Just 7 months ago, we were on the other side of the fence. I was the Blake Bell guy, and you were the Fortson and the blocking guy. Absolutely. What can I say? The Huddle Bros, like sometimes we disagree and we come together in the end. But it looks like now I'm on the other side of the fence, and you're where I was. So.
Well, again, like I said, for me, it was kind of a roster thing, right? And I think we saw enough out of Jody that there's no question that if he's healed up, they want him back and they want him to be on this roster and they want him to be in their offense. And he will be an integral part of that. So I don't have that same nervousness, before where we were all rooting for him to make the roster. And you kind of have to root for guys to not make the roster in order for some of these guys that are at the bottom, right on the bubble there to make it. And so, that was a chunk of it, but I think Bell has shown his worth a bit here. And I would go so far to say that if Gray continues to develop, and if Fortson comes back healthy, that I would be okay kind of transitioning Bell, kind of into that multi-back role and letting him replace Burton, for the few plays that we actually use a fullback. I think you'd have to up your depth on the offensive line because that takes away from some of your blocking tight end there. But I don't know. Anyway, all right. So moving on, I said receiver. I think we're in agreement. Extend Tyreek. You don't have to do anything with Hardman right now. Resign Pringle. Let D-Rob walk. And are we in agreement on those moves? Are we any place you disagree with those moves?
Nope, we're all good. We're in agreement there.
And then for me, I said I'd like to see us bring in, and there are a number of free agent wide receivers this season, and it's also supposedly a loaded draft for wide receiver. But we're not talking about the draft right now. We're just talking about free agency moves. And so I said I would like to see Allen Robinson. That would be my free agent target, simply because he leads the league over the last 4 years or so in contested catches. And whether Andy likes having someone who can do it or Patrick likes throwing or not, this offense needs someone who can catch contested balls. And Allen Robinson has shown over and over again that he's a guy who can do it. I'm not going to argue solely for him over anybody else. I don't think Devontae, hits free agency. And I'm not even sure that we go out and get one of these guys who are probably going to command 12, 15, 17 million dollars anyway. But if that's the way that we go, that's the way we go. I have a feeling, though, they might be getting more and more comfortable with Hardman and Pringle. And even though I hate to say it, even D-Rob as well. Hopefully some team throws a stupid offer at him and we get a comp pick for him. That would be the best case scenario for me. Anyway, what about you, Gooch? What do you have with the receiver room?
Honestly, what I'm scared of the most is that D-Rob hasn't shown enough for somebody to throw a crap ton of money at him, and then he ends up staying. I'm in agreement with re-signing Pringle. I am in agreement with re-signing Hill. And you can't do anything with Harmon. But I'm gonna go out there on a limb. It's gonna be the most unpopular opinion that we will ever have here on the Huddle. And I'm going to say re-sign Flash Gordon. Simply because I think he's been a year and a half out of game shape. I think he's learning the offense, and I think he'd do wonders next year when he has the whole offseason to study and get on a rapport with Mahomes and all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of because people are going to point to his drops and stuff like that, but you have to realize that he's coming back from, and yes, he played in the Arena League, but those aren't NFL quarterbacks. And he has to get timing down. And I think he's pressing because he wants to be good here. And I think that's the biggest struggle. And then I find Fountain. I like Darius Fountain. Is that his name, Darius Fountain?
Yeah.
I liked him. Bring him back. What do you think? Let D-Rob walk. Please let D-Rob walk. Backwards, because that's what he does.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't be against bringing Gordon back, and I still don't think we've seen much out of Fountain, and I'd like to see what he could do. So I have no problem with them being, number 5 or 6 or whatever on the depth chart. I still think they'll bring in someone. They might draft someone. They might do both. I'm not sure they want D-Rob back, though. I mean, honestly, they were dangling out, 1-year deals. They tried to get Juju on a 1-year deal. maybe another receiver or two, and then they got D-Rob on a 1-year deal that was super cheap for them. So it made a lot of sense when they missed out on the guys that they wanted. And I mean, we haven't even talked about Cornell Powell, who
I mean, do we
clearly
have to, brother?
who clearly hasn't been good enough to make this roster at any point, this whole season, which is saying something given how bad, D-Rob is. We can let D-Rob walk. We can let Garrett Dieter walk. There's no reason to keep him on the practice squad or anything, or to even pretend that just because he's Mahomes' best friend forever that he'll ever have any shot of being a decent receiver. And I know even though he's an Alabama guy, you're in complete agreement with me on that one.
Absolutely. Gary Dieter's all heart, but I mean, talent is.
And then, Kemp, I'm not going to fight, for or against Kemp. I know that Tobe likes him, and so, that is what it is. But, I think Tobe could also, continue to take a chance and bring these kids in and see if Kemp isn't replaceable. That's where I'm at with the receiver room. The offensive line, I think it's easier to talk about. Kyle Long has not been healthy at all. I mean, he didn't even make it, a few weeks in a training camp before he was getting injured. So, I'm completely fine with him not being back. I think outside of Long, though, I'm fine with basically everybody else being back. I'm fine with Rimmers, staying a backup. Overall, though, with the offensive line, for me, I still haven't seen enough to convince me that Orlando Brown Jr. can be the left tackle that Patrick Mahomes needs to protect him. I haven't seen from the right tackle that anybody that's playing the position can stay healthy. So for me, right tackle is a huge concern. Draft someone, maybe take a shot at Trent Brown in free agency or another right tackle. And for me, I would say tag Orlando Brown. Give yourself another year. So I would tag him, but I would also let other teams know that I would be willing to listen on any offers they had for him. I think that that's a must. And one of the reasons I think that's a must is because the man wants to be a left tackle, and I don't buy it. And if he tries to price himself anywhere close to Trent Williams, which would just be utterly insane, he's not Trent Williams. He's not Tyron Smith. He's not any of those guys. He's not a top 5 left tackle. He will never be at the level of any of those guys. And so I would tag him, let him talk to the other 31 teams. Let him hear from them that they don't consider him to be a left tackle. Let him hear from them what they think he's worth. So he has a much clearer, more sane understanding of his ability and what his value is, so that either he works out a deal with them and you work out a deal to trade him, or you have a better chance to re-sign him because he now fully understands what his worth is, and he's not out there for something that's just astronomical and doesn't make sense, given that he really doesn't have the talent to be a great left tackle. So that's what I would do with the offensive line.
Yeah, I don't. I've got mixed feelings. First of all, I'd like to go back and I'd like to welcome back Darwin Thompson to the practice squad. Had that good time there in Tampa Bay. Welcome back home, son. Kemp, Kemp, I really think, like, I'm not going to be the advocate for Kemp, but I think he's like the Jackie Slater of our special teams, kind of like in New England. Like, I think he's the guy. So I'm not going to be like, oh, we should get rid of him, blah, 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 whatever. Offensive line, I'm with you. Please, Mitch, come back. Or if, Niang, he's got a lot of weight on that frame. He could be a good right tackle. Next to Trey. What about Prince Winnebago, Wanabatuga, whatever his name is, Prince Winnebago? He's got talent and a nasty streak. We kept him for some reason. Maybe it's time to let him get out there. Rimmers is a capable backup. I know everybody's like, oh, Wiley's not doing bad. And he's not when Andy starts scheming to help him. Like, TJ was wrecking havoc until Andy started scheming the offense to where if TJ came around outside, Pat stepped up. Or if he came inside, then Pat rolled out. All that's to help Wiley because he had his hands full. The Brown thing is interesting because I don't know if you're going to find a capable left tackle in the draft, and I don't think there's one in free agency that you would want to pay, and so I think you're kind of stuck. But you're not stuck giving in the long-term deal. Franchise tag him. Make him play one more year. And then make your decision. Because after the first year, then it's 125%, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts?
I hear what you're saying, but I think I would rather tell Tooney to come in next season prepared to play left tackle, and we'll have a left guard there, and let him go at it. And I understand he has short arms, but you know who else has short arms? A guy that made All-Pro and PFF's All-Rookie team in Rashawn Slater. So, Tooney is a wily veteran who knows all the little moves to do out there. So I still think you tag Brown and you let him talk to every other team out there. At the very least, it helps you in contract negotiations because it lets him see what teams out there think that he's a left tackle. And it helps you because then you know what, his competition is or what your competition is to re-sign him. And then he knows, what teams are willing to pay him. And so it only helps you. And if there's a team out there that's willing to pay something astronomical, guess what? They can do it. Let them go there. And then move Tooney to left tackle if you don't find one in free agency or the draft that you want to commit to yet. It's okay to kick the can down a year. It's better that than to get yourself with a noose around your neck signing a guy who can't play the position to a long-term contract. And I know that people will say, well, we gave up a lot to Baltimore to get him. Well, there's such a thing called the sunken cost fallacy. And basically, that is when you say, I've spent too much money on this. I got to keep going down this road.
You cannot do this. You can't do this without the HGs because they're about to learn something today. You know what I'm saying? They're about to learn something.
Right. So yeah, you cannot just keep going down the road because you're already invested in it when you know it's the wrong direction. Um, so that's what I would say. That's what I would say to that. I think it's the perfect option. Uh, you know, if you have to have him back for another year, you can do that. But at least he knows his worth. At least he knows what the rest of the teams in the league think of him, and it helps you with contract negotiations if you want to extend him. Otherwise, you know what? I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to have Tooney at left tackle, and even whether it's Allegretti at left guard or bring someone else in at left guard, and settle things that way. So for me, it's a win-win-win. And so that's what I would do. Um, I think we're done talking about the offensive moves and free agency, and I think we'll have to talk about defensive moves on our next episode so that we can hurry up and hit our final topic here in preparation for the divisional game that we have this weekend. We will beat the Bills if. All right, well, I'll start us. We beat the Bills if one, we practice ball security. We take care of the ball. We don't have the turnovers. Like, this is a must. We have to take care of the ball. We can't be giving them the ball. It would also help if our defense took the ball away from them as well. Um, we have to be careful of Josh Allen leaving the pocket, but we also have to continue to press and allow our defensive line a chance to get home. We'll beat the Bills if Sorensen and Neiman see a low percentage of snaps on this defense. Um, we see the offense moving the ball around the way they have after they got in gear against the Steelers. If we see McKinnon with the same juice that he's had to get to the outside and to catch passes and make people miss, and the burst that he's had, I think these are all things that are a must. And we have to run the ball. We have to run the ball. We have to be a balanced team who's willing to run the ball, a team that's willing to pass to the other receivers not named Travis or Tyreek, and we have to let our defensive line has to show up in this game, and they have to make a statement. Frank Clark needs to make a statement. John Reed needs to make a statement. Chris Jones has to show the Bills' offensive line what they were missing in Week 5. I think these things are a must. And so, and Spags is going to have to pull out some stuff we haven't seen yet, or some things that we haven't seen for a while that were working that kind of disappeared. And so, to me, these are my keys to the game. Andy's got to keep the same attitude he had in the Steelers game about being greedy for points. And you want special teams, because this is going to have to be a whole team win. So special teams is going to have to show up. That's Butker, that's Townsend, that's the return team. No dumb penalties. These are my keys to beating the Bills. I know that sounds super generic, but that's what I have. Gooch, you said you have short and sweet.
All right, so my thought on the Bills, we will beat the Bills. If the team that showed up Week 5 doesn't show up now. Now, obviously, that's a different team and be so much better. I think as long as we show up and play, we're going to be good to go. Obviously, we're having a little difficulties today, but that's my take on it. The Bills are going to, I think, I'm going to even prognosticate the score. I'm going to go 35-31. I think it's going to be a close game, but the Chiefs are going to bring it out. I think it's going to be a run. Bills are going to go on a run, and the Chiefs are going to go on a run. We're going to close it out. So we appreciate all of you who watch this content, whether religiously or in passing. Become a member. Check out all the stuff at the RGR store. Grab a hoodie, a mug. Live streams on Monday, Chief and North on Thursday. Of course, me and Keys are on Fridays. We're also in the Discord. We're also on Twitter. Yeah, we're on the Twitter. We've got game plans during the week. There's so much stuff. Big Chief Sean does pre-games outside of the stadium. Make sure you tell somebody you love them. We're serious about that. And catch you in the next one.
Peace out, guys.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.